She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good pre-training camp eve, Jacksonville, Florida. It is a Tuesday evening. We're glad you're with us here on Hacker After Dark with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. 198 days since the Jaguars walked off the field in Nashville. Their season coming to an abrupt and, quite frankly, a shocking end last year. And now here we are, 198 days later. And the Jacksonville Jaguars will take the field tomorrow morning at the Miller Electric Center for practice number 1 of training camp. And, of course, the big news here locally today is the re-signing of Tyson Campbell, a 4-year deal, $76 million. It includes $53 million, which is guaranteed. Tyson Campbell joins Foye Oluokun, Joshua Hines-Allen, and Trevor Lawrence as the big contract extensions this offseason. What a day it was. What an offseason it has been that officially ends tomorrow with training camp getting underway. Got a lot of thoughts on the Tyson Campbell deal. Got a lot of thoughts on Jaguar general manager Trent Baalke and the job he did over the last 6 months or so. Guest lineup tonight looks like this. Less than 15 minutes away from our head coach here on Hacker After Dark, my buddy Dave Campo. Of course, you hear him all over the 1010XL airwaves. Very soon, we'll have Monday night coaching with Campo every week here on Hacker After Dark. And, of course, he, along with Leon Searcy and myself, are getting ready for another year of the fifth quarter. But I always want the coach on right on the eve of training camp. So we will talk about the Jaguars and every aspect of this roster with Dave Campo. That comes up in less than 15 minutes. Also, Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union later on in the 9 o'clock hour. And it is AFC South preview week here on Hacker After Dark. And when it comes to the Houston Texans, one of our go-to guys out in Houston is my buddy Aaron Wilson. He's covered the NFL for years. He's now with KPRC Television in Houston. The Texans have already been on the field for almost a week. Keep in mind, they play in the Hall of Fame game a week from Thursday, so we'll talk about the favorites coming in the AFC South in 2024, the defending champion Houston Texans with Aaron Wilson. That comes up at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. So it's all football all the time as we are one more night away from training camp opening in basically every NFL market. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark, let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
You know, I cannot begin to tell you how refreshing it is to me, and I would imagine how refreshing it is to you, long-time, long-suffering Jaguar fans, to actually draft players or sign players in free agency that do a good job and are rewarded with a second contract. That's not a noble concept in many NFL markets. That has been very few and far between here in Jacksonville until recently. The fact that Foye Oluokun performed and got a new contract. Joshua Hines-Allen got a new contract. Today, Tyson Campbell, a new contract. And, of course, Trevor Lawrence got a new contract. That's what it's supposed to look like. That's how an NFL team is supposed to be run. You draft good players, you develop them, and you re-sign them, or you sign young free agents like Oluokun, and you reward him with a new deal 2 years into that contract. That had not happened here in Jacksonville. Hadn't happened here in Jacksonville in many, many years. Thanks to the absolute ineptitude of some of the general managers that for some reason, kept getting paychecks here. But then Trent Baalke arrived. And man, I will tell you what. As the offseason comes to an end, Trent Baalke has cooked this last 6 months. Outside of Calvin Ridley going to Tennessee, and quite frankly, I'm not really even sure how bad that is for a guy that's about to turn 30 in December to get the money he did. Tip your cap to him, wish him the best. Lawrence, Campbell, Hines, Allen, Aluakin, all re-signed. You bring in Gabe Davis, Mitch Morse, Eric Armstead, Darnell Savage, Ronald Darby. You draft Brian Thomas, Mason Smith, Jarian Jones. Man, it was a ridiculous offseason for Trent Baalke. Dare I say, a Baalke masterclass. Now, will it pay off in wins and losses? Well, obviously we don't know that. All we can go on is paper. That's all we can do for the next 47 days until the Jaguars kick it off 1 o'clock Sunday, September 8th in Miami, Florida against the Dolphins. But on paper, a fantastic offseason. What did they say they wanted to do? Wanted to get bigger on the lines of scrimmage. Eric Armstead, Mitch Morse, Mason Smith, Jordan Jefferson, Trevis Gibson. You re-sign Ezra Cleveland. You draft Javon Foster. That's 8, 9, 300-pound guys, 280-pound guys they added to this roster. They wanted to get better at wide receiver. I believe they did that despite losing Calvin Ridley. You bring in 25-year-old Gabe Davis, who has 28 career touchdown catches, and he just turned 25. You go out and you bring in a Brian Thomas, a man that led college football in touchdown catches last year with 17. I believe that number 17 was top 5 all time in a single season for college football touchdown receptions. You go out and you add Devin Duvernay, an all-pro kick returner to replace Jamal Agnew. You look in the secondary. You go out and you bring in a Darnell Savage. You go out and you bring in a Ronald Darby. You draft a Jarian Jones. To me, Savage, Darby, and Jones compared to Rayshon Jenkins, Darius Williams, Trey Herndon, I don't know. At worst, that's a push. I think they're probably better there. Ryan Nielsen comes in as the defensive coordinator. I love that hire from Doug Peterson. It's just been a terrific offseason. And I know that some of you, and we've had this conversation many, many times over the last 2 years, many times. Some of you have been very critical of Trent Baalke. And I think the reason is, at least my friends, my group of friends that I know, I can speak for them. I've known them forever. They've been Jaguar fans forever. They're just used to things going bad. They're used to things snowballing. They're used to find the glass half empty aspect of things. They're used to being just negative when it comes to the team. Because quite frankly, this team for many, many years did not give you, the Jaguar fan, very much to be positive about. That's factual. This team sucked for a long time. Let's not sugarcoat it. They were awful for a long time. But the work Trent Baalke has done with this roster, keep in mind, he hasn't been here for a decade. He hasn't been here for 10 years or 15 years or even 5 years. He's been the full-time general manager entering year number 4. And you look at this roster now to where it was when he inherited it, it's night and day, man. It is absolutely night and day. I think he has done a fantastic job this offseason based on what we can go on, which is paper. Now, if the season starts and a ton of injuries occur, things don't go your way, well, all right. But we don't know that right now. We hope that's not the case. All we can go on are depth charts, opinions, scouting reports. And I think this team has improved everywhere. They are better everywhere than they were when the season ended 198 days ago. Even wide receiver. Again, you give me Devin Duvernay, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas versus Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, and Jamal Agnew. I think the new guys are better. Ridley's the best of the bunch, but I would probably take Gabe Davis over Zay Jones and Jamal Agnew. And I might take Brian Thomas over Zay Jones and Jamal Agnew. And as a wide receiver, I would definitely take Devin Duvernay over Jamal Agnew. So you add all that up, I think they're better at wide receiver. I think they're better along the offensive line with the addition of Mitch Morse. Defensive line with Eric Armstead. Secondary, like I said, it's at no worse than a push. I think they're probably a little better there. They got a better backup quarterback in Mac Jones. I like it, man. I like it a lot. And I like the fact that everybody's picking Houston. We're going to talk about that later on with Aaron Wilson out in Houston. And look, I think the Texans are going to be very good. If I had to pick the AFC South right now, it would be hard to not pick Houston myself. But this Jaguar team, for whatever reason, seems to play better when they're the underdog. They seem to be better when they're disrespected, right? Duval versus all y'all. Remember that? That was the 2022 moniker. Didn't work well in 2023 as the favorite. Now they're back to the underdog. I kind of like that heading into the year. Fired up for training camp. Fired up for what I think could be a very, very interesting season here in Jacksonville. And I'm always fired up to talk to my buddy Dave Campo. We have him weekly during the year. That'll return very quick. He joins us tonight on the eve of training camp. We're 12 hours away, man, from the Miller Electric Center, practice number 1 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll be down there, looking forward to it. Dave Campo will be down there. We're going to take a deep dive with the head coach. We're going to look at every single position, offense and defense. Jaguar talk galore coming up with the former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and my co-host on the fifth quarter, my buddy Dave Campo. He's our head coach here on Hacker After Dark, and he's next. It is a Tuesday evening in Jacksonville, Florida, and we're glad you're with us right here, Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The place for Jaguar news.
I just came from the Jaguars locker room, and I tell you what, it was interesting. This is what I learned.
Home of the Jaguars, 1010XL.
Baloo for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. I just got back from vacation out in Orange Beach, Alabama. And last year, heck, even 6 months ago, the thought of going parasailing was not going to happen. All right, I was way too heavy to do that. But when you lose 80 pounds in 5 months, thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss, it opens up all sorts of doors, all sorts of avenues for you. And I got to go parasailing because of those 80 pounds that I've lost, thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. The best weight loss program I've ever been on. I hear you guys on social media asking me, telling me, Hacker, you look great. What's going on? Tell me about Awaken 180. Well, let me tell you. Call 844-346-1800 or visit their website, awaken180weightloss.com. If it's time for you to lose weight like it was for me, take it from somebody who's down 80 pounds and trust Awaken 180 weight loss.
This is Pre-Tection. Yep, Pre-Tection. The everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Pre-barbecue. Pre-playground. Pre-everything. Pre-every day. Prevention is the best protection. This summer, make sure you have OFF, the #1 dermatologist-recommended repellent brand. SC Johnson, a family company.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Canines for Warriors provides veterans with lifelong companions in one of their highly trained service dogs. If you know a veteran who could benefit from a companion or simply want to support, visit caninesforwarriors.org.
Your love can give pets a purpose. To adopt a loving animal from the Jacksonville Humane Society, call 725-8766.
Having a mentor can positively change a young life right here in Jacksonville. It only takes 4 to 7 hours a month to be a big brother or big sister and change a life forever. Become a big today at bbbsnefl.org.
There is a critical need for all blood types. Please consider donating to a local blood donation center.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
It's time to fire up your grill, shoot off some fireworks, and launch one of the biggest sales in the history of the United States. It's our independent sale happening right now at Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet. Whether you drive a car, a truck, or an EV, everyone is welcome to celebrate our independent sale with the lowest prices, largest inventory, and the most love for our country. Come celebrate with Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine, or Beaver. You don't want to miss this.
This is Frank Frangie. Join Dan Hickett and me for All Things Gators, our podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, with new episodes every Monday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL Florida Gators Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or TuneIn.
Clearwater. John, I can't even mow my side yard. It's so soggy. Man, my builder sucks.
Brent, calm down. This is a common problem in neighborhoods where houses are built too close together. You need gutters and a properly installed French drain that will soak up subsurface water. We can completely dry it up.
So I can take my builder off my speed dial now, huh?
Yeah, we got you, buddy. Let that builder bitterness go.
Clearwater irrigation and drainage too.
Family owned and managed for 20 years, Hidden Hills Golf Club boasts a unique and welcoming golfing atmosphere. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com to book your next round on our Arnold Palmer signature course. You'll be glad you did.
I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping first-time home buyers with their mortgage financing all over Florida for 34 years. First-time home buyers can get no or low down payments, anywhere from 0 to 3.5% down. As a first-time home buyer with Trustline Mortgage, you get added benefits for doing your loan with us, like lower rates on your mortgage insurance and lower closing costs. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Trustline gives first-time home buyers better mortgage interest rates? Here's the bottom line. Trustline Mortgage wants to help first-time home buyers accomplish your goal of home ownership. That's why Trustline Mortgage is offering the best first-time home buyer benefits around, period. Trustline Mortgage delivers with no and low down payments, lower closing costs, and better interest rates. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. Yes, 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you buy your dream home. Or visit our website at trustlinemortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing opportunity. MLS number 331480.
What's changed totally inside and out? The Kuhn Flowers massive storefront, and yes, they've totally remodeled the showroom inside too. This is Frank Frangie, and the next time you drive by, stop and smell the roses at Kuhn Flowers.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us as training camp has arrived for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They reported today they will be on the field tomorrow morning, and it is a great time of year here in the city of Jacksonville. It's also a great time whenever we can have the head coach, Dave Campo. He joins us every week during the season, which is not that long from right now, and Coach joins us tonight here on the eve of training camp. Coach, it's been a little while. How are you?
I'm doing great, Hacker. This is, I'm excited about the start of football, and I think it started the other day with the SEC media days. That kind of got me juiced up listening to some coaches and players. And now it's Jaguars. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about us getting together maybe on the post-game show and looking forward to it.
Yeah, there's no question the fifth quarter will be here before we know it with myself, the head coach Dave Campo, and, of course, the Pro Bowler Leon Searcy. All right, Coach, I haven't talked to you since the Trevor Lawrence contract a little over a month ago. Just your thoughts on locking Trevor up for the next 5+ years.
Well, I think it was the right thing to do. I mean, obviously, I've always said from day one that we as media people and fans, we see him 17 times a year, but those guys over in that building see him every day. And if they feel like, he's a franchise quarterback, which I believe he is, and I'm looking for big things this year, hopefully, this is the time to do it. Get him locked up, show the team that you have a lot of confidence in him. And now it's up to him. I think that there's been some inconsistency. I think there's other reasons for that. I heard Warren Moon speak the other day, Hacker, and Warren made the comment about Trevor that, not necessarily Trevor, about quarterbacks in general, that they're the most important position, obviously, in the game of football, but he said in sports. But the other thing he said, and basically team sports, he's the most dependent. That position is the most dependent on people around him. So, it's going to be interesting to see what they've done. I'm excited. I think the guy has got the right makeup, and we'll see what happens.
Former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Dave Campo, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. All right, Coach, the guys reported today. The rookies came in last week, but the veterans all reported today. They're on the field tomorrow morning for practice number 1. Take us through it. What is today like as the guys come in? Will there be meetings tonight and ultimately leading into that first practice tomorrow morning?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they'll get started tonight with install. And what happens in training camp is whatever they got in OTAs and mini camps, they're going to start from scratch again. And really, it's really not starting from scratch because the guys that have been around there, the experienced guys, obviously are going to have a lot of retention. But at the same time, they're not going to leave anything for chance. They're certainly going to start installing from day one and make sure, and obviously the more experienced team they have, the more things that they can get going earlier. And that's what they'll try to do and get a jump on it. And I think they'll be ahead of the game this year. They've got a lot of experienced guys with them, but they also have some young guys that are going to have to play and some free agents that can always use that extra work.
Let's go position by position, just a quick Cliff Notes version on each. Quarterback, obviously Trevor Lawrence is going to be the main guy. I'm curious, though, Coach, Mac Jones, C.J. Beathard, is there a competition there for the backup spot in your opinion?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I think that, obviously the pedigree of Mac Jones is probably a little ahead because he's younger and a guy that has been in the league, has got some experience with the league, playing a lot of ball games recently. So it was interesting because watching him in OTAs, and we were only there a couple of days. They'd only let the media in for a couple of days. He's got a lot of enthusiasm. And being here from Jacksonville, I think he's happy to be here. I think it'll be a competition. But I think if Trevor went down, and I'm knocking on wood right now, I think he'd be the guy that would be best ready to step in.
Yeah, I think you could do an awful lot worse at backup quarterback than Mac Jones, a guy that went to the Pro Bowl just a handful of years ago. At running back, it's all about Travis Etienne. It's a big year for Etienne. Obviously, we talk about the extensions for, Trevor Lawrence and Joshua Hines Allen, but Etienne has not been extended yet. He's got this fifth-year option picked up, but there's certainly some work there still to do for Etienne. And then the backup spot, everybody's going to be looking at Tank Bigsby coming off what, quite frankly, was a disappointing rookie campaign. He needs to be better in year 2, Coach. There's no question about that.
Yeah, no question. I think that, there's a number of positions on that draft that Bigsby came in with, and Strange and that group, that this is a big year for them as well. And I really think that Bigsby got off to a rough start. I'm hopeful that he can, he was really good in training camp when it really obviously didn't matter last year, struggled during the ball games. I think he's a little bit more mature. I'm looking forward to him being a factor. And I think with the guys that they brought in that draft, this is a big year for all of them. And I actually like the Ernest Johnson and the young kid that they brought in this year. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
The head coach, Dave Campo, here with us on Hacker After Dark. Coach, wide receiver will probably be the most viewed group when the fans make their way out beginning tomorrow, because you go back a year ago, your top 4 guys were Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Jamal Agnew. 75% of those guys are gone. Christian Kirk is the only holdover. In comes Gabe Davis. In comes Brian Thomas. In comes Devin Duvernay, who I think is going to have a decent role on this team, to be honest. And I think there's a heck of a competition between the likes of Elijah Cooks, Tim Jones, Parker Washington, maybe Joshua Cephas for the tail end of that wide receiver room. That'll be, to me, one of the more compelling positions to watch.
Absolutely. And I think we have to temper a little bit, Thomas. It might take him a while to get going. It won't take him long to run by some DBs, though. And I think that's what they're going to get out of him early. And watching him, he catches the ball real easy. He's got good hands. It looks like he can, really get off the line of scrimmage. I think that's going to be to the key to the whole thing with him is his ability to get off press, because I think there's people going to challenge him in that aspect of the game. But if he does get off the press, he's going to run by a lot of guys. I like this group as a whole, and I think the back end of it is going to be better than it's been. I think there's going to be a real, like you said, a battle with Cephas and Cooks and Tim Jones, and the back end of that group, Parker Washington. There'll be a good battle there, and I think the better battle you have at positions, the better chance you're going to be good. I think you know what you're getting with Duvernay, and I believe you know what you're getting with Gabe. They're going to help us. They're going to be a definite factor in the receiver room for sure.
At tight end, Coach, Evan Ingram, it revolves around him, obviously, and he has been nothing short of sensational his first 2 years here in Jacksonville. But you mentioned Brenton Strange and, like Luke Farrell and guys of that sort. Not a lot of production behind Evan Ingram. I'm certainly going to be looking at, tight end 2, tight end 3 to see what's going on there when training camp opens tomorrow.
Well, first of all, I think you know what you're getting with Luke Farrell. I think he's a guy that's going to be obviously be a good, really good blocker. And I think that's important to have a guy like that that can get open, can catch the ball a little bit. But Strange is going to be the key to that whole situation. And again, like I said with Bigsby, watching Strange now, he has the talent, in my opinion, to be kind of an either or. With the offensive line or moving out. He can be a adequate blocker and has the quickness and the ability to catch the football. So again, he's going to be the one that you're going to be watching in training camp to see what he does, and especially in the preseason games, because I think he's important. I really believe he's important to this football team this year, and obviously he's going to have to make some improvement.
Couple of more for the head coach, Dave Campo, as we are on the eve of training camp. The Jaguars are on the field tomorrow morning for practice number 1 beginning at 8:30 at the Miller Electric Center. On the offensive line, Coach, for the entire offseason, I've been of the opinion Cam Robinson, Ezra Cleveland, Mitch Morse, Brandon Sheriff, Anton Harrison. And I still believe that, but as we get closer to training camp, I'm beginning to hear more chatter that there may be a legit competition between Cam Robinson and Walker Little at left tackle. What's your thought there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one is going to be the compelling competition other than, young guys like Strange and Bigsby and some of these guys, the rookies that have now come in this year, that one right there, to me, is a huge competition. And, obviously, from what I'm hearing, they are pretty darn excited about Walker Little. So that's going to be an interesting one, because I think the thing that's kept Cam Robinson there has been his mentality, his toughness on game day. But I'm not sure that the work ethic is there. And I've seen Little play tackle. And as far as pass protection, for sure, he's probably a little better than Cam. Now, in the run game, that's something that you have to see, because I don't know the mentality. I think that has to show a little bit more this year. I'm concerned about the offensive line. I mean, I've got to see it to believe it. I'm hopeful that they did enough with that group to be able to handle the run game and the protection of Trevor. I think the addition of Morse is a plus, almost more in the running game, because I think he's one of those guys that can control the double teams and all that kind of stuff, and the protections in the passing game. So there's going to be some competition at that position. Cooper Hodges, some of the guys that are behind it, the whole offensive line group.
Let's go to your bread and butter, Coach, the defensive side of the ball. And look, we'll start up front with the D-line. It's all about Joshua Hines-Allen. It's all about Trayvon Walker and Eric Armstead, certainly. But again, I think a guy that people need to pay attention to, who might not get the press coverage, but I think maybe is a vital part of that defensive line as anybody, is Devon Hamilton. When Devon Hamilton was right in 2022, he was fantastic, and he earned that contract extension last offseason. Devon Hamilton was never right last year. I think the defensive line suffered. So even though everybody's going to be watching 41 and 44, I will be as well. I think 52 is maybe as important as those guys.
You're right. There's no question. He's a run stopper that has a little bit of ability to put pressure on the quarterback. To me, he is a big key, because, I watched him a little bit in OTAs against the sled. He's got power. He's a physical guy, and that's one of the things that they were missing. I think he's going to be a critical factor, and I really think the addition of Jordan Jefferson and Mason Smith make that interior part a little bit better than they were. Eric Armstead obviously is a plus. I don't know what's going on with his injury. I hate to see a guy going into training camp, a veteran. That concerns me. But Devon Hamilton, when he was right, just like you said, he earned that contract that he got before his illness or whatever he had last year.
Coach, you mentioned Eric Armstead really quick. A 31-year-old, decade-long NFL career. The guy's a beast. Obviously, he had a meniscus injury last year in San Francisco. Do you really, a guy like you who's been around the game for decades, do you need to see anything out of Armstead either in training camp or the preseason, or is he a guy where we'll see you Sunday, September 8th?
Well, all those guys have to get a little bit of punishment during training camp, because they're going to take a beating every day. But I don't have to see a lot from him. He's one of those guys that they expect a lot more from him than just what he does on the field. He is a guy that has been a winner. He's been a veteran. He's been with a good ball club. He knows what it takes. In the locker room, he's going to be fantastic. The biggest thing with him is get him ready for game day. Give him enough to get him ready to start hitting people, and then I think he's a big factor. Now, as far as length is concerned, that's the issue. He's been injured. Hopefully he can make it through the season. All those things have got to come to fruition. But there's no question he's an addition to that group, no doubt.
Final moments with the head coach, Dave Campo, as we are on the eve of training camp. The Jaguars are on the field tomorrow morning at 8:30. Linebacker, Foye Oluokun got the extension this offseason. All eyes on Devin Lloyd, honestly, and it's a big year for Devin Lloyd. And then I look at a guy like Ventrell Miller coming off an Achilles last year. Coach, maybe I got my orange and blue goggles on here, but every time we were at OTAs or minicamp, 51 was out there making plays, man. I'm very interested to see Ventrell Miller beginning tomorrow.
Yeah, I like Ventrell. I had an opportunity to visit with him a little bit during OTAs, after practice. And I like his mentality. The one thing that shows up to me, and this is something that, obviously I haven't seen enough of the new scheme to say, okay, this is exactly what they're going to do. But the one thing that I do know is that when I watch him on the field, on the snap of the football, and I told him this, on the snap of the football, he's going. There's no hesitation. Now, do I know that he's going to the right spot every time? Time will tell on that. And do I know that he's going to make the tackle when he has that opportunity? Time will tell with that. But the one thing it shows me is that the guy has instincts, because when I watch him on the field, he's moving as soon as the snap goes, and he's headed for a direction. And hopefully that's the right direction.
Yeah, there's no doubt. He kind of reminds me, Quincy Williams was a guy that was here that kind of was the same type person. He was going fast wherever he was going. The Jaguars gave up on Quincy Williams. He goes to New York and has become a stud up there for the New York Jets. Yeah. So that's an interesting comparison to keep in mind with Ventrell Miller. Finally, in the secondary, Coach, again, you spent a lot of years coaching DBs in the National Football League. Safety, I think they're fine. The combination of Andre Cisco, we'll see what happens with Darnell Savage, Antonio Johnson. The question is at corner. You figure Tyson Campbell and Ronald Darby certainly are the two locks. Jarian Jones is a lock because he was a third-round pick. But then who emerges? DeAndre Prince, Monteric Brown, Greg Jr., Christian Braswell. A lot of youth that they invested draft capital in. Someone or a combination of those players is going to really have to emerge beginning tomorrow.
Well, first of all, I think that obviously when you look at the position, you look at the possible starters, you might have some concern. But I believe that if Darby is healthy, you can forget about worrying about the corner position as far as the starters are concerned, and other than the health factor, because he's shown that he can play in the league and that he's a pretty good corner. Now, the other guys, I think they did the right thing with Jarian Jones. I think he has shown that he's got a chance to be outside or inside. He shows some promise there, but he is a rookie. I think the guys that I like Monteric. He showed that he can come into the ball game. I don't know that he's a starter right now, but I think he's from a depth piece, I think they have something in him. Gregory Jr. showed some things. The guy that I'm kind of pushing a little bit, and again, I haven't seen enough to be right or wrong. But I think Savage, for example, I don't think he's going to be a safety. I think he's going to be the nickelback. And I think that there's going to be competition there with Jarian Jones and Jr. and some of those guys. But I think Savage has the corner quickness to play that position. And everybody said he wasn't a good tackler at safety, but around the line of scrimmage, he's a good tackler. And so that's the kind of guy you want at nickel, because he's a guy that at safety, you read patterns. Corners coming into nickel, they just cover guys. Well, he can cover guys, but he can also read patterns, which if they're going to play any kind of zone, which they are, that's an advantage for him. So I really think there'll be some competition at the corner position with Jarian and Monteric Brown, guys like that. But I think as a whole, that's not a bad group.
Coach, final question. For fans making it out tomorrow and throughout training camp, we're going to be out there every day, certainly looking forward to seeing you and all our media friends as well. What are you going to tell fans to look for? What are you looking for beginning tomorrow? Tell the fans what they need to be focusing on when those practices begin tomorrow morning.
Well, I think number one, you're going to, watch what they do offensively, and again, you're not going to see much tomorrow because, obviously they're just coming out there. But, just watch the comfortableness of Trevor Lawrence. And I think that that's going to be obviously a huge key to what's going on. Pay attention a little bit to to who lines up out there on both sides of the ball, because in OTAs, there was no depth chart. And obviously early in training camp, they're still going to be looking at guys, but I think they've made a decision in their mind who's going to have the best shot at starting at the positions that they line up in. So those are the two things the first day that I think will stick out. And again, the thing I like about this group from a coaching standpoint is the organization is great. Watching guys run around. And also when the quarterbacks are running around, warming up, see if Evan Ingram's over there catching balls, because I think that's one of the things that sticks out with him.
That's become a training camp tradition for you and I. We go out there, we're one of the first people out there, and Evan Ingram's always out there catching passes, even after the big contract, which is why a big part why he's been so good for the Jaguars in the last couple of years. The head coach, Dave Campo, is always so good to us. Soon we'll have Monday night coaching with Campo restarting, and soon the fifth quarter, you, myself, Leon Searcy. Coach, it's going to be a fun year. I can't wait. It begins tomorrow. I'll see you out at the Miller Electric Center.
Yep, I'll see you out there, Hack. Going to be hopefully fun year.
Play-by-play just makes everyday life better.
I did not see this one coming.
Get the most play-by-play on 1010XL, Jacksonville's play-by-play sports radio.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prime Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 904-902-8222. 904-902-8222. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 904-902-8222.
In sports, the grind outside the lines is what ultimately defines our success. Get the amateur's edge, powered by B3 Better, to learn the hidden path of top pros, amateurs, and coaches. Saturday mornings at 11 on 1010XL.
The following people are under the influence of no air conditioning.
Oh, man.
Is it ever hot? I can't get up. My legs are stuck to the chair.
Can guys go through menopause?
Why?
I think I'm having a hot flash.
Don't let no AC happen to you. Call Duck Air Conditioning, available 24 hours a day, and they'll fix it right the first time. When your AC system needs a repair, it's time to call Duck Air, 904-862-6769, or online at duckduckac.com. Duck Air Conditioning, a division of Duck Rooter.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees, and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Prosser here. As you may or may not know by now, I did the research and decided to go with Jack's Concrete Coatings for my garage floor. OMG, as the kids would say. I can't begin to tell you how good it looks, how happy we are. We brag on it anytime someone walks in the garage. They had the job finished in one day with a lifetime warranty. That's right. As the certified Pintech dealer for North Florida, the only company offering pure polyurea, I can't wait to do my patio deck next. Call 862-2000. That's the number, 862-2000, or jacksconcretecoatings.com.
1010XL breaks down training camp all day. Listen for camp news with analysis and insight from the practice feed.
Everything counts!
1010XL's training camp coverage is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing and Kingfish Pest Control.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
bring it back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
The coolest thing going on right now is the summer fan sale with 3 ways to save at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Browse their huge selection of high-quality fans to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Buy 1 fan, save 10%. Buy 2, save 15%. Buy 3 or more and save 20% off summer pricing on all fans. Visit their showroom near the avenues while inventory is still available and discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes at First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys Locksmith Service.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Don't rock the jukebox.
Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
My heart ain't ready.
It's a nice change. Kind of like that. It was all country music all the time out in Orange Beach, Alabama, when I was on vacation.
Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of Kenny Chesney.
No.
Kenny Chesney basically runs that Floribama bar out there. He actually wrote a song that I'm in the music video for. They had a concert. Yeah, they had a concert out there like 10 years ago. I mean, I'm in the music video for like 2 seconds.
Still, it counts as something.
Yeah, I was in the front row, and I was the most miserable person there. It was 1,000 degrees. We're on a beach at Orange Beach, Alabama, right there at the Floribama bar. Kenny Chesney's doing a concert. We had to be there 9 hours before he started because Heidi is either front row or she doesn't go. And, yeah, it was miserable. But I am in that music video, so you should check it out at some point. All right, so a couple of NFL news and notes as we get into the latter stages of the 8 o'clock hour. We'll go out to Houston. Aaron Wilson is one of our guys when it comes to covering the Houston Texans. Aaron's been covering the NFL for years. He's now with NBC TV out in Houston. So we'll get the Texans' perspective, a team and the Texans that have already been in camp for about a week. Remember, they play in the Hall of Fame game next Thursday. Quickly, though, a couple of things. Number one, the Cowboys report tomorrow to camp. Reportedly, C.D. Lamb will not be reporting. He is in a contract squabble, if you will, with the team. He saw what Tyreek Hill got, he saw what Jalen Waddle got. Then he saw what Justin Jefferson got. Then he saw what Amon-Ra St. Brown got. Wide receivers got paid this offseason. So C.D. Lamb wants to be in on that. The Cowboys have not signed him to a long-term extension, so he will not be reporting to camp, according to Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter. We'll see what happens there. A guy that will be in camp is Jamar Chase, but as we told you last night, it appears a contract will not be worked out long-term for Jamar Chase. Now, that could be sticky as well because Jamar Chase, even though he's had 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons, has had at least 8 touchdowns in all 3 seasons, is still playing on a rookie contract. Translation, he is vastly underpaid in Cincinnati. He's being a good soldier, I guess, right now, a good teammate and going to be at camp. But you would have to think Jamar Chase is not very happy, particularly after he saw what his former teammate Justin Jefferson got in Minnesota. So there are 2 things to keep your eye on. Chase, no contract extension, but he will be at Bengals camp. C.D. Lamb, no contract extension, reportedly will not be reporting to Cowboys camp tomorrow. And we'll see what happens in the coming days and weeks with that. Real quick, we're not going to do a lot of college football tonight. We'll get more into college football later on in the week. I was on vacation last week during SEC Media Days. The ACC kickoff going on up in Charlotte this week. Florida State met the media yesterday. The ACC's got a 4-day event going on up there in Charlotte right now. But back to the SEC, something that I saw that I had to mention at least just really stuck out to me. Number one, look, we know the expectations for the Gators aren't very high coming into the year, right? I'm not breaking any news there. But I think they were picked to finish, 11th or 12th in the conference? That seems to be the overwhelming theme. Whether it's Athlon, whether it's Lindy's, whether it's Phil Steele, whether it's the assorted SEC media that was in Dallas last week, there are just not a lot of expectation for the Gators, who are not picked to finish any higher than 10th in any preseason publication that I've seen. Translation on that, they're picked to finish in the bottom half of the SEC this year. And if that does happen, well, what will that mean for Billy Napier moving forward? And one of the reasons why there's not a lot of expectation for Florida, Denmark, I don't know if you saw this or not. So last week, they do the preseason first, second, and third teams for offense and defense. So let me do my Wolfson High School math there. That's 66 guys, right? First team offense, first team defense, second team, and third team. So you have 33 preseason offensive selections from the SEC, 33 defensive preseason selections from the SEC. Denmark, did you see those teams last week?
I've seen, I don't know if that exact one, but I've seen like Phil Steele and Athlons. They've done theirs, and not many Florida guys have been at the top.
All right, so let me ask you. Now, we're talking about 66 guys, 3 teams worth of offense and defense. Of those 66, which is a big number, how many Florida Gators were on that list in the preseason SEC media days?
No more than 2. 1 or 2?
Which one are you going with?
I'm going to go 2.
You're going to go 2. You're spot on.
No.
You know which 2?
No.
Montrell Johnson was the second team running back. Jason Marshall was the third team corner. And that's it. 66 all-conference preseason selections. First, second, third team. 2 Florida Gators. Compare that to 10 Georgia Bulldogs. You want to know why Georgia is where they are and Florida is where they are? It's talent. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. It's simple. The simplicity is amazing. It's who gets the better recruits, who has the better talent. And right now, brother, it's not even close. Georgia has immense amount of talent. By the way, Trevor Etienne, your first team running back. As if that isn't a little salt in the wound for Gator Nation. But yeah, that's why the expectations are so low. Not a lot of Gators. And by the way, I'm not so sure that Eugene Wilson should not have been first, second, or third team wide receiver. I think he might be one of the best wide receivers in the conference by the middle to end of the year, but he wasn't preseason. I was curious about Graham Mertz because I think Graham Mertz is pretty good, but then you forget Carson Beck was first team, Quinn Ewers was second team, and oh, by the way, Jalen Milroe was third team. There's no debating those guys.
Yeah, and he ain't better than Jackson Dart neither.
Probably not. But I think after Dart and those 3 I mentioned, Milroe, Ewers, and Beck, I think then you can begin to have a conversation about Graham Mertz at number 5 or number 6 in the conference, which isn't bad for a 16-team league and a guy that Gator fans, quite frankly, did not want 12 months ago. I think you could very easily make a case for him to be among the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the SEC coming in to 2024. More college football coming up as the week goes on, but obviously with training camps opening, it's all about the Jaguars and it's all about the AFC South. We've been to every division in the National Football League dating back to Memorial Day week. 2 months later, our final stop is the AFC South. Last night, we were in Nashville. Tomorrow night, we will go to Indianapolis. Tonight, it's all about the Houston Texans, the defending division champion, certainly the favorite in this division moving forward in 2024. One of our guys out in Houston is Aaron Wilson. KPRC Television in the Houston area. Let's talk C.J. Stroud. Let's talk Stephon Diggs. Now let's talk about a team that won the offseason. There's really no debate there. The Texans won the offseason. Will that translate beginning in September? That's yet to be determined. But clearly they're the favorite. We'll talk Texans, AFC South, and more. Aaron Wilson, KPRC Television in the Lone Star State. Next on a Tuesday night in Jacksonville, Florida, it's Hacker After Dark.
Big games, big hitters, big radio. Go big or go home. 1010XL, the station that plays big. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Millard Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Millard Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Millard Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Millard Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You and I know Zero Res loves cleaning carpets in your home. But did you know Zero Res can also clean the carpets where you work? Take a look at the floors where you work, and if they need cleaning, suggest to the boss they call Zero Res. For the month of July, Zero Res offering 20% off all commercial carpet cleaning. Call Zero Res, and they'll come out and give you a free estimate on what it will take to get the job done. Zero Res, man, you spell it forward. Zero Res, you spell it backwards. Zero Res, it's the right way to clean.
I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping first-time home buyers with their mortgage financing all over Florida for 34 years. First-time home buyers can get no or low down payments, anywhere from 0 to 3.5% down. As a first-time home buyer with Trustline Mortgage, you get added benefits for doing your loan with us, like lower rates on your mortgage insurance and lower closing costs. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Trustline gives first-time home buyers better mortgage interest rates? Here's the bottom line. Trustline Mortgage wants to help first-time home buyers accomplish your goal of home ownership. That's why Trustline Mortgage is offering the best first-time home buyer benefits around, period. Trustline Mortgage delivers with no and low down payments, lower closing costs, and better interest rates. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. Yes, 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you buy your dream home. Or visit our website at trustlinemortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing opportunity. MLS number 331480.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zerores.
This patriotic chant mirrors the enthusiastic efforts our American athletes have dedicated to their quest for a gold medal at this summer's Olympics in Paris. USAPark.net Airport Parking is your safe and secure parking for when you fly out of JIA. No matter where you're going, whether you're traveling to the Olympics to support our athletes or just visiting Grandma, remember to park at USAPark.net.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
RJ Saunders here, sports lovers. I recently took a tip from Frank Frangie when I needed to send flowers to my mother. Frank told me that Kuhn Flowers is the only florist he ever uses. So that's what I do now. I use Kuhn Flowers. Find them online at kuhnflowers.com.
Catch all the interviews and analysis of this year's ACC kickoff.
Sold out crowd, Doak Campbell Stadium.
Coverage on 1010XL is brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, Local Union 234, and Salvatore's Pizza at Tapestry Park.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us as our AFC South preview continues. We are on the doorstep of training camp. We've already been to Nashville. We've already been to Indianapolis. Obviously, we will save the end here in Jacksonville. But tonight, it is all about the Houston Texans, the defending division champions, and a lot of expectations for the Texans coming into this year. One of our guys out in Houston is Aaron Wilson. He is with KPRC Television in Houston, and Aaron's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Aaron, how you doing, man?
Oh, doing great, Ryan. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Hey, Aaron, we're good. Always appreciate the time. All right, you cover that team as closely as anybody. What a turnaround in a calendar year. This time last year, there were not a lot of expectations at all. And now 1 year with D'Amico Ryans and C.J. Stroud, and dare I say they're talking Super Bowl out there in Houston. What was that 2023 ride like for you?
It was exciting. They became relevant again, which really happened instantly once, in my opinion, once they hired D'Amico Ryans, but it continued the momentum by drafting C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson in the same draft, back to back. So having, the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, a really dynamic young quarterback, and then Will, NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, and also a Pro Bowl selection like C.J., it really changed things. They were young leaders, and they were really mature beyond their years, and I thought did a great job. Did everything, run perfect all year? No, they had a lot of injuries. They overcame some things, but they did embody, I thought, the coach's leadership style, which was, feisty and a lot of energy. And he gave them a real shot in the arm. They'd had some older coaches previously in Lovie Smith and in David Culley. With this, they had a coach on the rise, a younger, more relatable coach, and he won the Pro Football Writers NFL Coach of the Year, and he was second in the AP voting. So I thought it was a really fun season to document, and it did take some time before they kind of got rolling. A lot of it just had to do, it's a quarterback league. Once Stroud started hitting on all cylinders and playing with a ton of confidence, and got on, I thought, a really good rhythm with Tank Dell, Nico Collins in particular. They didn't have a good running game. It was average or slightly below. And the offensive line, a lot of injuries. But a good quarterback overcomes that. And a great quarterback takes you even further in the playoffs. And I think he has some greatness in him. They did lose in the divisional round again. They're the only AFC South team, you probably know this, that has never made the AFC Championship game in all of their years. So Jacksonville's been there, Titans have been there, but the Texans, that's the next step for them, is to not just win a playoff game, but advance to the championship game. And they hope to do that, but it's going to be very tough. The schedule is the 4th toughest schedule in the NFL.
I told my guy in Charlotte how much we can't stand them taking Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud because now everybody in the AFC South has to deal with C.J. Stroud. Aaron, what makes him so good? Why was he so successful, and why do you believe he will be successful moving forward?
He was so good because of pocket awareness, arm talent, anticipation, throwing his guy open. He was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football, and he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. He set this one really cool mark, I thought, where he, Tom Brady, and Joe Montana are the only quarterbacks to lead the NFL in passing yards per game, but also touchdown interception ratio. He took good care of the football. Like any quarterback, he's fortunate he didn't have a few more interceptions, but he didn't throw a lot of bad balls, and he had good judgment. He had good leadership qualities, has them. He's someone that commands respect. He shows a lot of respect to the veterans. He asks a lot of questions. It's one of the reasons I think he'll continue to get better and better is because he works at it. He's lifted a lot of weights this offseason. His lower body looks stronger. I think he'll have even more zip on the football. And, he's maybe not the specimen like an Anthony Richardson is as far as speed, but he can move. He can, he's looking to scramble, to throw, not necessarily to run a whole bunch, but he can run when he needs to. And I think he's the complete quarterback. He's the modern quarterback.
Couple more for Aaron Wilson, KPRC Television out there in Houston. Boy, they went all in this offseason. They know they're in their window right now, Aaron. Everybody talks about the Texans as one of the biggest winners. Danico Autry, which kind of gets lost in the wash. I thought that was a great pickup. You add him with Daniil Hunter, Joe Mixon, obviously Stephon Diggs. Your reaction to what the Texans did this offseason?
I thought they had a strong offseason. It's not just about Diggs. It's, it's it's really cumulative with, getting Daniil Hunter, getting, a good draft with Kamari Lassiter in the 2nd round. So I think even like Kate Stover, their 4th round pick is a really good pickup. They have done well at all phases in personnel with Nick Caserio, the architect of the roster overhaul. And they had resources this year that they didn't have previously in terms of cap space. And whether it's like an Azeez Al-Shaair as an off-the-ball linebacker or getting a Daniil Hunter, they're able to replace players like Blake Cashman and Jonathan Grenard. And I think they got the roster in good shape. There's some questions still about, a couple spots, but everybody has a few question marks, or maybe they don't have an all-star at that position. But overall, top to bottom, it looks like a pretty good roster with some depth, more depth than they've had in the past. So they're feeling pretty good about it, but, you got to, play the games. The schedule is difficult, especially late in the season when they have those games against, it's like 3 games in 10 days. They play I might mix up the order here, Dolphins, Chiefs, or Chiefs, Dolphins, then Ravens on Christmas Day. So it's going to be tough.
Well, look, we know all about expectations here in Jacksonville. The Texans are now where the Jaguars were a year ago. Obviously, Jacksonville did not meet those expectations last year. It's a young football team. Now, they did bring in a lot of veterans, which should help. But obviously, Houston's not going to sneak up on anybody this year. How do you think they will handle those expectations?
I think they're, compartmentalizing it well. I think they've been smart. Nobody's acting like they won anything. A player I talked to just the other day said, we haven't done anything, yet. We need to do more. We can be better, and he expects them to be better. It was Kendrick Green, the guard, and I was at Steve Sims football camp talking with him, and he just said, I think we're headed for big things, but they, talking about that's our job. But I think for players and coaches, they really have to keep it in perspective that you start every year from scratch. What you did last year doesn't guarantee anything this year. And I think that's a very smart but basic approach. It's not with a fun answer, but it's the honest answer. Because if you it's just like, anything like what we do. If I go and talk about, hey, last year, I had this story or I did this, I mean, who remembers that, except for me or, whatever. I have to be good every day. So I try to think about it in a sports analogy, like, what am I doing? Okay, well, how am I getting better? How that's, it's no secret sauce. You work hard, you're networking, you're going to things, you're multitasking. And so, yeah, for players, you're only as good as your last play, really. I mean, if you think about it. So, and you're only as good as your last game, your last season. So these guys, I think they're still hungry. I mean, they were annoyed to lose to the Ravens, and it wasn't really very close in the second half. So those guys were, I would say very determined.
Final moments, Aaron Wilson, KPRC Television there in Houston. Aaron, you're based in Houston, but you follow the division as close as anybody. I really enjoy your coverage, watching you on social media. You'll have stuff on every AFC South team basically before anybody else does, so I certainly commend you for that. And this division, man, is a 180 from where it was 12 months ago. You could argue last year, this time, most uninspired division. People were talking about the worst division, whatever verbiage you want to use. Now, all of a sudden, here we are coming into the 24 season. Dare I say, one of the best divisions in football. Just your thoughts on the transformation, really, for all four organizations.
Well, yeah, everyone has relatively new quarterbacks. That's the big change. They've got different coaches. There's new leadership in a lot of the other spots. So, yeah, the South is dramatically different. And, I know back in the Bill O'Brien era, it was kind of a point of contention of, people would say the South's weak, and they weren't wrong. I mean, there were some lean years in the South Division, but I think that's changing. And is it one of the best? I still don't think they're one of the best divisions. I think there's some better divisions, but they've made a ton of progress. And if you ask GMs around the league, they'll tell you South is some good football.
Aaron, final question. We won't hold you to it right now, but here we are in the middle to late part of July. I mean, your thoughts on the division as a whole. If you had to go 1 through 4 right now, how do you see it going into training camp?
I'd give the Texans a slight edge. I think their roster is just that good. And then I would go with Jaguars, Colts, and then Titans.
It'll be interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of intrigue around all four organizations. Aaron Wilson does a terrific job, not only covering the Houston Texans, but the AFC South, KPRC Television out there in Houston. Aaron, I'm sure we'll be dialing your phone as the games get closer between the Texans and the Jaguars. Thank you as always, my friend. We'll talk soon.
All right. Good talking with you.
There you go, Aaron Wilson. We always appreciate his time with us here on Hacker After Dark. And the thing about Houston, it's interesting. Look, 14 of the 17 games that the Jaguars and the Texans play are against the same opponents, right? People always talk about strength of schedule. Well, some are home, some are on the road, but they only have 3 different opponents. But Houston does have a first-place schedule. Now, their schedule does not begin very tough, right? At Indianapolis, that's interesting, on opening day. Then they're home against Chicago. You would think they're going to win that. They're at Minnesota, certainly winnable. They come to Jacksonville, goes out there week 4. Then Houston plays Buffalo. They're at New England. They're at Green Bay. That'll be tough. They play Indianapolis. They're at the New York Jets. But listen to this. Starting week 10, right? Starting on November 10th. Listen to the remaining Texans schedule. They're home against Detroit. They're at Dallas. They're home against the Titans. They're at Jacksonville. Then they go home Miami, at Kansas City, home Baltimore. And listen to the dates on these games. The Miami game is December 15th. The Kansas City game is December 21st. The Baltimore game is December 25th. In 11 days, the Houston Texans play the Miami Dolphins, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Baltimore Ravens. Good grief. And they end with a road game at Tennessee. So, I hope they're as good as people believe them to be. because that is a daunting schedule. From November 10th on, they are going to have their work cut out for them. There is absolutely no question about that. We'll make one more stop in Indianapolis on tomorrow night's program, and then we'll have Leon Searcy on Thursday, and that'll wrap up our division previews. All 32 NFL teams dating back all the way to Memorial Day to now is what we've covered, one a week over the last 2 months here on Hacker After Dark. Coming up next, more thoughts on the Jaguars as they begin training camp tomorrow. Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union joins me in less than 15 minutes on a Tuesday evening here in the city of Jacksonville with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Gators. Subscribe to the 1010XL Gators YouTube channel. Up-to-the-minute updates, instant reaction from Gainesville, plus the same 1010XL Gators podcast you've grown to know. And check out 1010XL Gators on YouTube.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Care you can see.
Hey there, Weekend Warriors. It's Matt Hayes. Sick of that slice? Tired of those 3 putts? What if I told you your handicap isn't about your swing, it's about your weight? Why not take strokes off your game by taking pounds off your frame with the Waco 180? We're talking 10 strokes off by August, getting your tour card by September, winning your first major, year 1. Think about it. Fame, fortune, and most important, winning $5 off your buddy because you, sir, are closest to the pin. Taking strokes off your game is just about 40 pounds away at Awaken180weightloss.com. Awaken 180 does not guarantee an immediate 10 strokes off your score, receiving a tour card, or the ability to control the weather. Individual results may vary. Your newfound athleticism might cause jealousy among your foursome, leading to accusations of steroid use. Awaken is not responsible for defending your honor in the clubhouse. Awaken 180 cannot guarantee that your newfound golf prowess will lead to a sponsorship deal, but we can't not guarantee it either. Awaken 180 is not responsible for any dramatic fist pumps or unsolicited golf tips you give to strangers. Awaken 180 does not offer refunds for any lost wagers made on your improved golf game. Bet wisely, my friend. Strokes off your game by dropping pounds off your frame. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are looking for top talent to join our team. If you are a plumber, CDL driver, or have experience installing septic drain fields, come join Duck Rooter and let's win together. We offer our players a full package that includes excellent weekly pay, paid holidays, health insurance, and new state-of-the-art equipment. Log on to duckduckrooter.com and click on the careers page to apply. That's duckduckrooter.com. Duck Rooter is an equal opportunity employer.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
It's soccer around the world, and here at home on the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour, Monday evenings on 10:10 a.m. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley for Soccer Talk, Mondays at 6 on 1010XL.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Are you you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Need to enhance your home's curb appeal? StoneCore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Replacing with new stone pavers will transform your driveway into a stunning work of art. Say goodbye to unsightly concrete and hello to beautiful, durable pavers that last for years. Visit StoneCore today and let's beautify your home together. StoneCore.co. We do outdoors better.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
Soccer fans, don't miss your chance to see teams from the English Premier League compete in the Stateside Cup right here in Jacksonville. Competition will be fierce when Wolves and West Ham United take the pitch under the lights at Everbank Stadium July 27th. It's Premier Soccer at a premier venue for one night only. Tickets are going fast. Buy yours today at statesidecup.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Miller Electric Center tomorrow morning for Jaguar training camp. Practice number 1. Just was informed that I'll be speaking with Darnell Savage after practice tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Certainly Darnell Savage, one of the big free agent acquisitions this offseason. You combine Darnell Savage with Mitch Morse, with Eric Armstead, with Ronald Darby, Gabe Davis, Mac Jones via trade. They brought in a lot of guys. There's absolutely no question about that. So looking forward to speaking with Darnell Savage. And look, I think tomorrow, no pads, obviously. They probably won't be in pads till the weekend or early next week. Usually they go 3 or 4 practices and then they get into pads. So tomorrow will be a lot what OTAs were, a lot what minicamp was. But I think you start to see some tendencies. And I'm going to talk about this later on. I don't think there's many position battles as far as starting spots that are up for grabs. I do wonder, though, in talking to more people as we approach training camp, if there will be a battle at left tackle between Cam Robinson and Walker Little. Keep in mind, both guys are scheduled to be free agents at the end of the year. One would think that Walker Little might be in the future plans because he's 4 years younger than Cam Robinson, but I would suspect Cam Robinson at this point right now is probably a little bit better than Walker Little. So how will that play out? There will be a ton of competition for spots to make the 53-man roster, particularly offensive line, wide receiver. But as far as the 22 starting spots go, I don't think there's going to be that much competition with the possible exception of left tackle. But certainly there'll be a lot to look at. There'll be a lot to discuss. Let's do that with Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union. He's always kind enough to give us some time here on Hacker After Dark, and we really appreciate it the night before training camp gets underway. Let's talk Jags, and let's preview the 2024 training camp with Demetrius Harvey of the Times-Union. He's next. It is a Tuesday evening here in the city of Jacksonville with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
Let's hear your story.
Dan Hicken.
Chicks dig me because, well, I have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Mornings on the Drill.
Eat your heart out.
On 1010XL.
He's had a lot of near success.
Baloo for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day. And smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
Facing a DUI charge or even a boating under the influence charge? Well, I'm your man, DUI lawyer Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. 285-4LAW. Once again, 285-4LAW.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Kicking off a new college football season. ACC kickoff in Charlotte. Hear what the players and coaches have to say. Brought to you by
Salvatore's Pizza at Tapestry Park
and the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234. Catch up or listen again
at 1010XL.com.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year head football coach at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, K-12, Aaron Beasley here. Are you looking for an A-rated K-12 school prioritizing academics, arts, and athletics? Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows offers a rigorous curriculum to develop strong minds with an additional focus on growing good hearts. DCSB has been an A school for 8 years, and our tuition is free. Now enrolling. Apply at baymeadowscharter.org.
If you're tired of your fence looking like a bad hair day, well, it's time for a fence makeover with Superior Fence and Rail. They'll make your yard the talk of the town with a new fence installed by their expert team.
Your fence is fantastic.
My fence is giving all of my neighbors some serious pick and envy. Thanks, Superior Fence and Rail.
So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your fence installation project today.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com. What countries have the most and least time zones? The answer next.
With storm season blowing wind and rain, it's even more critical to protect your valuable assets with a policy from Southern Oak Insurance. Ask your agent about Southern Oak today.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance. Believe it or not, France has 12 time zones. China, only one. China's Standard Time.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Hello, sports fans. Hicken here. Let's talk skin. Iron Beach's Dermatology are reminding you to wear your sunscreen. If you're an active parent hanging at the fields, in your boat to fish, or like to chill at the sandbar, wear sunscreen. But if you're the one that decided for years it's not cool, guess what? Cancer isn't cool either. So when grabbing the clubs for your tea time, gassing up the boat, or grabbing the chairs for your kids' games, make sure you bring the screen. Any concerns now? Give Beaches Dermatology a call online at beachesdermatology.com.
Imagine driving a late model Corvette, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Honda, Chevy, Ford, and more, all at a fraction of the original sticker price. Visit Vaughn Motor Group's indoor showroom and browse a great selection of dream cars that are inspected with warranties. Before you make your next auto purchase, check out Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard or at vaughnmotorgroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
They
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, presented by FIS, takes the field this season at 1-1 Financial Ballpark as the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. Tickets start at just $5, fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids run the bases after every Sunday game. JackShrimp.com, Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable, family fun.
Calling all disc golf enthusiasts. Play It Again Sports Jacksonville wants your used discs. Now through June 29th, earn cash on the spot plus $5 in sports bucks for every $25 of disc golf gear we buy. Play It Again Sports also stocks new discs from your favorite brands like Innova, Discraft, Discmania, and more. Stop in today and shop our huge selection. Merrill Road near 295 in the Merrill Station Shopping Plaza or online at playitagainjacks.com.
Sports fans, JJ LaSalva here. When I need to send my bride flowers or a plant for birthdays or anniversaries, I always go with Hume Flowers. After all, they've been the leading florist in these parts for over 75 years. You can always rely on Hume Flowers.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us as we are on the doorstep of Jaguar training camp. And boy, it got here quick, man. This has been maybe the most consequential offseason in Jaguar history. You think of the free agents, the drafts, obviously the re-signing of Joshua Hines-Allen, and then the two big things that happened in the last month or so, the Trevor Lawrence extension and the stadium getting passed by the city council. Let's talk about all of it with my buddy Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Demetrius, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm just excited that camp's finally here. We're able to actually see guys on the field, and we're getting rolling.
Yeah, it got here quick. I mean, it just seems like minicamp wrapped up, it seems like a couple of weeks ago. It's been well over a month ago now, and I guess the reason why it got here so quick is, man, there was news like the entire offseason. I haven't talked to you since Trevor got his deal and the stadium got passed by the city council. Let's begin there. I mean, two just gigantic pieces of information, Demetrius, that came out in the last month or so.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It actually was interesting. I went on vacation for a couple weeks, right as soon as they announced that, the stadium was going to be passed and everything was going well. And right after, I'd left right after sort of when Trevor got his contract extension and everything was going crazy on that end. So on both fronts, on the business side of things for the Jaguars, they have taken a huge step forward for their future, obviously now going to be in Jacksonville at least for the next 30 years once that stadium is done. So, until like 2060 or whatever the case may be, probably longer, obviously. But yeah, it's a huge deal, obviously, for the city. It's a huge deal for the Jaguars. This has been something that's been in the works for several years. It didn't just pop up last year when they started doing the community huddles or anything like that. But yeah, I thought it was really good, obviously, for the city, obviously for the Jaguars. It seems like the split makes sense. And then, going to the football side of things, you're right. Huge news there too. It's probably, equally as big, but just in terms of football on the field stuff as a stadium is. And that's Trevor Lawrence being locked in for 5 extra years beyond, this year and then 2025. So basically you guys have Trevor and you're stuck with him for like 7 more years. So, and I think that's a good thing. I think that that's the right direction that the team needed to head in. I think they got ahead of it in terms of the salary. They were able to get him at a good price point because that's only going to balloon. I think that Trevor has shown plenty over the years to showcase why he's a true franchise quarterback. He's statistically, if you just go look at the numbers, he's the best quarterback the Jaguars have ever had. And so, yeah, to me, that all makes sense, and it's sort of just setting up the Jaguars for the future on both fronts.
Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union. There's obviously pressure on Trevor, and there has been, going back 3 years, the number one pick, generational, and all that verbiage. But now a lot more eyes are going to be on him. I'm of the opinion, Demetrius, and not to put words in your mouth, but I think you probably share this, that a lot of people nationally are box score watchers when it comes to Trevor, right? They'll look at the box score on Monday morning and make their determination whether he's any good or not. I think that changes now. I mean, $50+ million a year. I think people are going to take much more of a look on Sunday afternoons at Trevor Lawrence as opposed to just reading the box score. So there is some pressure that's going to come with that contract.
Yeah, and you have to if you take yourself seriously as a evaluator of football. I don't care what kind of level you're at. If you're just a casual evaluator, a professional, somebody who writes, whatever the case may be, then you need to watch the games. If you don't watch the games, you just box score watch them. You might as well not say anything. That's been my opinion. I'll always hold that opinion. So moving forward, obviously Trevor's going to be under the spotlight, under the radar, and I actually have just finished up last week a big story on Trevor, sort of just going through what he's been through since high school in terms of the pressure and where that comes from and just where he's at today. It's nothing too extensive, but that'll be in the Times Union, I think on the 28th, something like that. But basically it just goes through the numbers and stuff that you do have to, sort of dig a little deeper on. And then I added the context, which is from me having to watch every single snap this kid has played. And so, a combination of those two things, you get a better understanding. And I do think that the pressure might be on Trevor. You're right, Hacker. But, at the same time, this kid has been going through pressure situations his whole life. He was the #1 overall recruit coming out of high school. He had barely lost a game. I think he lost maybe 2 games in high school. He lost 1 game at Clemson. It's one of those things. This kid has never lost. He's always been the #1 guy, #1 pick, #1 player, #1 highest paid now. I mean, and that to me shows that, no matter what, he has had success. It doesn't matter how much pressure the kid has had. He has had success. And I think that continues moving forward with Doug Peterson. I think that he's the right, perfect coach for him. He keeps it calm. He keeps it steady. And Trevor's very much the same way. So as long as those two are on the same page, and as long as the team keeps building players up around him, I think he has nothing but success in his future.
Let's get into some training camp storylines, Demetrius. And look, you and I have been fortunate enough to be out there at OTAs and at minicamp. The fans finally get to come into the Miller Electric Center later this week to get their first look at the 2024 Jaguars. And in totality, man, a lot of newness, right? I mean, I think if you do a projection of the 53-man roster, you're talking maybe 15 or dare I say 20 guys that weren't even here last year that might be on that 53-man roster. So you're going to need some roster depth charts, I think, if you're a fan coming out to the Miller Electric Center with all the new guys on the team.
Yeah, there's plenty of new guys. I mean, even at the quarterback position, Mac Jones is coming in there and doing all his dances and all that kind of stuff, bringing the energy in that room. There are so many new players, and I think that that's something that had to happen, especially because of the way that it ended last year defensively. I mean, I think that we all know that most of the changes have been made defensively. They brought in Darnell Savage, they brought in Ronald Darby. We've already rehashed those kind of guys, but I do think that newness that you're speaking to does, it needed to happen. Ryan Nielsen had to come in and get players that would fit his system. He needed to come in and make sure that the guys that were playing for him are going to be in the right spots. And so, you have to be able to bring in guys that sort of, bring that energy, bring the edge. There's a lot more youth. I know that Eric Armstead's a little bit older, but when you think about guys like Darnell Savage, when you think about the different players that they drafted, like a Mason Smith, they're bringing in more youth. They're bringing in more energy, just different players to sort of fit their schemes. And then offensively, the same thing. Mitch Morris, I know that he's not a young player, but he's somebody that's going to come in and try to bring stability to that offensive line. Outside, at wide receiver, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, they're going to add, more of a deep threat. And, going back to Trevor a little bit, Trevor is one of the best deep passers in the league. I don't know if people know that. I know that everyone thinks, oh, you got to throw it deep. You got to throw it deep. They did. They do. They have been, and they will. Because, Trevor's one of the best deep throwers in the entire NFL. I forgot exactly where he's ranked. I believe PFF had him at number 6 or something like that. And maybe number 1 or number 2 in terms of throws of 20 or more yards. And so that's significant. That's why they've got in guys that can stretch the field like Gabe and like Brian. So yeah, all this newness, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean that they're going to take a step back and have to re-energize. I think that a lot of this newness can just be smoothly transitioning into this season and sort of moving up.
A couple of more for Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union as training camp gets underway this week for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I look at wide receiver and offensive line, and really you could branch out into a couple other positions as well. And you and I talked about this during OTAs, the word competition. Demetrius, there's guys that have played regular season games for the Jaguars that are going to struggle to make this roster, particularly at offensive line and at wide receiver. I mean, there are going to be guys that get cut that Jaguar fans know who they are, and the Jaguar fans have seen these guys play in regular season games. I think the depth on this team is much better now than maybe it has been since Trevor arrived.
It is, and I put out a 53-man roster, I think it was last week or maybe the week prior. A guy that I had to cut was Tyler Shatley on the offensive line. And I understand that he was brought back late and, it's not expected necessarily that he'll make the team, but that is completely different than what we're used to, right? We expect Tyler Shatley to be able to come in and sort of serve as that veteran backup center / guard kind of figure. But when they have guys like Luke Fortner, they already signed Mitch Morris, they drafted Javon Foster, they have Cooper Hodges coming back. There's not very much space for these guys. They're only going to keep 9 or 10 offensive linemen. So he's a guy that I had to release. And then, at wide receivers, since you mentioned it, I released guys like Elijah Cooks, who made the team last year as a 7th wide receiver. I had Tim Jones leaving, who has been with the team over the last few years. Those guys had to leave because, not only I don't necessarily expect them to keep 7 this year, they could, but also because, they have other players that are stepping in. They have Devin Duvernay that they just signed. They have Parker Washington, and then they have a bunch of younger guys that are undrafted that came in. A Josh Cephas, a Brevin Easton, who I had making the roster. So to me, I think that's a good thing. That's something that the Jaguars have been missing for a while. They're actually going to probably have a couple guys being claimed off waivers. Say they don't keep a Greg Jr. or someone of that vein. That's another player that could be picked up by another team. So yeah, this is a good thing. I think that it just showcases how they've rebuilt the roster since 2021. You
alluded to it right there. To me, maybe the most intriguing battle for roster spots is going to be corner behind Tyson Campbell and Ronald Darby. You got 6 guys that were all draft picks in the last 3 years battling for those spots. Is that the most intriguing position to you to watch out for during camp?
Absolutely. It's one of the most, because at this point I have 2 rookies making it, Jarian Jones, obviously, and then DeAndre Prince. I think they love him. They love his size. I don't think that they'll release him because somebody else will probably pick him up. After that, you have, Tyson Campbell, who's going to make it, Darnell Savage, who's obviously going to make it, Ronald Darby, who probably will make it. I would be surprised if he doesn't just because of the contract. And then Buster Brown, Monteric Brown. He's another guy that has some experience now. He was the 4th man up, or the backup outside corner last year, and I think that that's something that he can sort of continue doing this year. Because of that, guys like Greg Jr.'s are cut. Tavon Campbell, Christian Braswell, and so on and so forth. Those are guys that were draft picks or signees over the last few years who now potentially don't have a spot on the 53-man roster. So yeah, there's just a bunch of things like that are going on, and I think that it can only mean good things for the Jaguars moving forward.
Final moments with Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union. All right, you and I have been out there the entire offseason. For the fans that are getting their first look at the team beginning later this week, give them one guy on offense, one guy on defense that maybe we don't talk enough about, maybe the casual fan doesn't know that much about, but you think could make a real impact when it comes to the final 53-man roster.
Yeah, I think for me, I've been sort of talking about him for a while, and I think that a lot of people know about him. But obviously, Walker Little, he's somebody that since he was drafted in the 2nd round in 2021, hasn't really been able to find his way onto getting consistent reps. Right, he's always been able to come in for Cam when he gets hurt, or if he was suspended, but he hasn't necessarily been able to be that starter. He even competed at right tackle with Jawan Taylor and lost out. But I think this year is really the true year to find out what they have in a guy like Walker Little. I think that there is going to be a legitimate camp battle between him and Cam Robinson, as it should be. They're both entering the final years of their contracts. Cam has had some injury issues over the last couple of years, and I think that that's noted. So, Walker Little could potentially come in and play left tackle for this team, and I really wouldn't be surprised. So that's something to keep an eye on, in my opinion. Defensively, I really like I'll say two guys. So Devin Lloyd is one of the two, and he's somebody that has had a very up and down career in Jacksonville, in my opinion. I think that would be fair to say. The first 4 weeks of his rookie season, he wins Defensive Rookie of the Month, right, for the AFC because of all of his big plays. He had the interception against the Chargers and so on and so forth. But then he had sort of a down rest of the season, up and down rest of the season where, it looked like he didn't know where he was going, whatever the case may be, all the criticisms. And then last year, it seemed like he was on the uptick, and then he went up and down again. And I think that part of that is what he was asked to do in that scheme, thinking a little too much, having to be here and here, and making sure that this person's here, and then maybe he's doing a little too much, trying to take over somebody else's responsibility. I think that Ryan Nielsen and his staff are working hard, and they're going to streamline it. I think that maybe Devin plays a little bit of a different role this season. We're not 100% sure what he's going to do, but I think that downhill attack is what they need to key in on. So somebody who can just get downhill, get the running back, and then potentially give you some pass rush snaps too. So I think that those two players are those couple guys are going to make a big impact. And then the last guy is Devon Hamilton. How will he come back? This summer after having to take basically all of last year off. I know he played, but it just wasn't the same. Is he back to form? I think that we're going to see a different Devon this year than we did last.
Demetrius, final question. We'll obviously have you on prior to the season getting underway. But right now, as camp opens up, AFC South, 1 through 4. If you had to go right now, 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the division, how do you see it entering training camp?
Yeah, entering training camp, I'm going to go Houston first just because they were the reigning champs. I think that I would have said Jaguars last year this time. They seem to have the advantage, at least offensively, and it seems like they have some of the pieces defensively to sort of make an impact. 2, I would go with the Jaguars. I do think that this roster is good enough to compete with any single AFC South team pretty easily. They showed that last year. They beat the Texans at one point. They beat the Colts. They beat the Titans. And so, I do think that this is still a team that's on the rise. I do think that they're better than their record was last year. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them jump to number 1, too. But as far as 3 and 4 go, I do think that the Colts are a step ahead of the Titans right now. So probably go with Colts and then Titans. But I really do like what both of those teams have going for them. I'm not completely sold on Will Levis, and it's impossible to be sold on Anthony Richardson as much as I want to be. Even when I was covering the Gators, it was sort of that, oh man, I wish that this kid was what he should be. And so I do think very strongly that both of those teams have something going for them, though. But I think that it'll play out this year. Texans maybe, and then Jaguars, and then a little bit of a drop off before the Colts and the Titans.
It's been a crazy transition in the division. This time last year, maybe the worst division in football. Now 12 months later, dare I say, one of the best divisions in football as we enter training camp. Demetrius, tell the good folks here about Jacksonville.com, the Florida Times-Union, what you guys have coming out as training camp opens.
Yeah, I talked about the feature on Trevor Lawrence. That would be something that would be in a Sunday paper, but probably be online the same day on the 28th. And then obviously we'll be hard at work, forever for the rest of the next few weeks. Sorry. And then obviously, we're going to be having like at least 3 or 4 stories a day coming out of training camp. They got us working, so it's going to be a fun one.
The grind begins. Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union. Demetrius, I'll see you down there at camp. Thank you as always, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
And thank you to Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union for joining us tonight here on training camp eve, if you will. Again, the Jaguars officially reported today. They are on the field for their first training camp practice tomorrow morning down at the Miller Electric Center. Well, we did a lot tonight. It was mainly Jaguars, but we certainly focused on the AFC South as well. It's an interesting division. It's a division that's completely changed. We're talking about it all week. You take where the AFC South was 12 months ago, coming into training camp 2023, and you look at it where it is now heading into training camp 2024, dare I say, top to bottom, the most improved division in the National Football League. And I don't think I'm overstating that. I think all four teams have gotten better from where they were a year ago. Certainly the Texans have gotten better. Jacksonville, I believe, got better this offseason. Indianapolis gets Anthony Richardson back, and of course Tennessee spent just $1 trillion in free agency. So it'll be one of the most compelling, one of the most interesting divisions, top to bottom, I feel, in the National Football League. Well, that'll just about do it for a Tuesday night edition here of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank tonight. Again, my buddy Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union and Jacksonville.com, talking Jaguars as we enter training camp tomorrow morning. Thank you to Aaron Wilson. Aaron does a terrific job covering the AFC South. He's based out in Houston. And look, the Texans clearly the favorites in the division. I'm not breaking any news there. They won the division last year, and all they did was go out and add Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs and Daniil Hunter and Nico Autry and on down the line. So we appreciate Aaron Wilson for joining us. And keep in mind, the Texans have already been in camp for almost a week. They play, I believe, in that Hall of Fame game next week in Canton. So they've been on the field 5 or 6 days already. So we appreciate Aaron taking time out for us to talk Houston Texans. And back in hour number 1, my buddy Dave Campo, former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. It's always Monday night coaching with Campo during the year here on Hacker After Dark. But we wanted to get the head coach on right before training camp officially kicks off. And we previewed every position on this football team. Really enjoyed that conversation. And soon the head coach will join myself and, of course, Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy for another year of the fifth quarter right here on 1010XL, which, of course, will kick off following the Miami game on Sunday, September the 8th. If you guys are heading out to the Miller Electric Center tomorrow, hopefully I see you. We'll be down there every day. Here on Hacker After Dark, I'm scheduled to talk to some Jaguar players post-practice tomorrow, and we will bring you those conversations here on a Wednesday night edition tomorrow night on Hacker After Dark. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Tuesday evening, and I will see you down at the Miller Electric Center for the start of Jaguar training camp tomorrow morning. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.